So this video is going to be a bit of a curveball because I'm going to do something that I told myself I wouldn't do, but I'm just going to do it against my better judgment. And after years of putting it off and really trying not to think about it, I've decided this video is going to be about, if you've seen the title, you know what it is, sausage party. As much as I don't want to do it, I'm going to talk about it. Part of the spark for this video comes from the fact that my family, they like to tease me about my opinions on movies. They'll say things like, "Oh, Steven loves everything. Everything is always good. Is there anything you don't like?" Well, as a matter of fact, yeah. And Sausage Party is one of those movies. Was not a fan of this movie. And as a matter of fact, I didn't watch it in preparation for this video. I remember it so well. Once is enough. I didn't want to subject myself to any further torture. Now, look, let me let me back up real quick. So, Sausage Party. There are some people who like this movie. I know this for a fact. But I also know that I'm not crazy. There is a collective that I know that I'm aware of. Some of the group includes some friends, family members who've seen it, etc., who also had problems with this movie. And that is comforting to me. No, but the thing is, okay, here's the thing. I'd seen this movie when it first came out, and I was upset that I had watched the movie. I'd paid money for tickets that I wasn't going to get back. The money I wasn't going to get back. And then more frustratingly, though, the time is gone. The time it took to watch the movie is forever gone for me. I can't get that back. I was more frustrated by the time than the money. Like, I don't care about that. The money, whatever. Supporting a movie, whatever. But I wasted my life, part of my life, watching that movie. So it was frustrating. Now, Sausage Party is... Here's the thing. Because I don't like the movie, it's not that I think the movie is bad. It just wasn't for me. And even bad movies, I think, or movies that we don't like, I think there's still something positive to be found in those movies. And I think Sausage Party in that regard is no exception. There were some things that I did appreciate about it, even though it left a bad taste in my mouth. So this is going to be more of a rant, I guess, really, about this movie than anything else. So if you care to listen, pull up a chair and hear me out. Initially, I can remember when I first saw the trailers about this movie, I thought it was going to be, it's going to be like Toy Story, but with food. That's interesting. I'm curious to see what this movie is about. But I knew who was behind it. I knew Seth Rogen and his team, different people were behind it. So it was going to be a little bit, it was going to have some immature humor, and there were going to be some things that were going to be like, okay, whatever. This is going to, this is a more adult Toy Story, but with food. Okay, cool. So you go to the movie, and within the first 15 minutes, it's immediately, it's insulting a little bit. There's an assault of, so one of the first things that bothered me about it was you got Alan Menken, who produced the song, the introductory song of this movie. If you don't know who Alan Menken is, you probably should. I'm sure you know his music. If you've seen the 1989 Little Mermaid, Alan Menken worked in that film with Howard Ashman. They were a duo who did a lot of Broadway musicals, and that they were, I think, part of a major reason of the. Never mind the execution of the Little Mermaid was great. That was what sparked the Disney Renaissance, but the music was a huge piece of that. There were so many popular songs from the Little Mermaid. Alan Menken and Howard Ashman, they had been a team for some time. They had done stuff like Little Shop of Horrors. They did Beauty and the Beast. So their pedigree is ridiculous. So Alan Menken also worked with Lin-Manuel Miranda on the live action Little Mermaid, and it's so big deal. Like he's not an unknown. I was frustrated you had somebody of Alan Menken's character, his caliber, his juice, to make the song that it's clever, like the lyrics are clever and stuff, but it's like it's so beneath the greatness of what Alan Menken has done. It's like it's crass a little bit. It's like obviously there's like sexual stuff going on in the lyrics and stuff. There's a lot of stuff going on that feels like the cleverness is a credit to Menken, but it's like, and it tells me that okay, he has a sense of humor. He has enough of a sense of humor to be a part of a project like that. So I'm the one who had an issue, And while we're there, you might say, if you're one of the people who like this movie, you might say, Stephen, look, man, you have no sense of humor. It's just jokes. It's all in good fun. We need to laugh, which we do. This is all true. We're living in a world where, it's heavy out there, and anytime you get to find a laugh it can be nice to discover a laugh. But I feel like if the movie, it feels like I think the biggest issue with it, if there's nothing to hang it on to, then it feels like it's like it's a movie just without any meaning. I think even comedies have good ones, have some layer of heart, some piece that is meaningful. Even things like The Hangover, for instance. It's wild, implausible, whatever, but there's a heart in it. I think this is why the sequels weren't looked at as fondly as that original movie. I remember when I first saw that was hilarious to me. Like it was a 10 out of 10 comedy. And Sausage Party, it's a comedy that doesn't feel like it means anything. It feels like it was just like a. That's what's so frustrating about it. So the Alan Menken thing, he's something that he means something. So to have him in this movie, to do music for this movie, feels like it was a problem for me. The other issue was that it felt like it was so obviously. Look, there's some offensive comedy in it, and that didn't bother me so much. That like, look, I'm not that sensitive that offenses. Like I can laugh too. I know how to laugh. It just feels like it doesn't mean anything. It just, if you've seen the movie, you know everything about it. The other thing that, when you really think about it, it can be a bit of an issue, is that even if a movie is out there that you don't like, it's still a movie, right? It takes some work to make a film. I recognize that it takes a team. There's a lot of planning, a lot of moving pieces to get something made, and a lot of money, a lot of resources and things that go into producing something like this. And I think that is to always be commended. At least from my perspective, I respect that Seth Rogen and his team were responsible for, they made something that is, they created something. So as much as I won't watch the movie again, I can appreciate the fact that this was something that took some building, and I commend that. If I go further with that thought, that is also what's frustrating, because someone had to design the characters, right? Because this is an animated movie, if you don't know, it's an animated film. Someone had to design the characters. They had to go through likely multiple drafts. They had to render the animation for this, which takes a long time. It can take a while. So if you figure most movies take anywhere from a year and a half to 2 years from shooting to post-production, or whatever, through the post-production process to get made and released. That's a significant amount of time devoted to something that feels like it's a big, it's an excuse for juvenile jokes, overly sexual stuff, content, and not a lot of meat in terms of what it means. It took a lot of time to make this. And what bothers me about that is that all the time, all the money, everything that went into that, you could have made a masterpiece. And you made what we got. It's such a... Now, on the flip side, there were a couple things that I appreciated. So there are two main things that I actually liked about the movie. One of them was, there's a sequence in the movie where there's there's a mess made in one of the aisles. Someone spills flour and food and stuff gets messed up. And from the human's perspective, it's just like, oh, someone spilled something, we got to clean up on aisle 6 or whatever it is, that kind of thing. But from the food's perspective, obviously this food is alive, right? It's doing stuff, it's active. It looked like a war sequence, which was hilarious, clever, and very well done. It was like, if the movie was that, because then that to me reminded me of something out of Toy Story. You have flour spilled everywhere, where it's all dusty and stuff, which looks like the aftermath of an explosion, and you have different foods trying to find each other. You see different other foods, jars broken, and things with like stuff coming out, which looks like guts, but it's it's food. It's like this, which was clever. It's a great sequence. And the other thing that I liked about it was that the different aisles where you could find certain types of food were towns. For instance, there's a sequence where the main characters are on a search and they have to go to this town. This aisle is where a lot of the Mexican food is, the ethnic food, and it's a little town, and there's villagers, people there who are obviously Mexican or Hispanic. You have Salma Hayek, who you find in this town, she plays a taco. Like it's ridiculous. It's not. There's no subtlety. There's very little subtlety in this movie, and which is, when you think of the title Sausage Party, it's not surprising. We know it's the connotation of a sausage party, and the movie doesn't disappoint, because it makes a direct connection to what we all know a sausage party is. So yeah, the war, the aftermath of a war type sequence, and then the aisles representing that felt analogous to different towns that the characters would go through. That was cool to me. Everything else, major problems. I told my brother, if he was curious, to say, hey, watch this movie, man, just be curious. And I didn't think he would actually watch it, because I just think he didn't think he would watch it. But he did watch it, and he was upset with me. Now, this video was not supposed to be something that I was going to make. In fact, I remember right after I'd seen it, one of my dearest friends, we used to work together, and we talked about this movie. And both of us had the same feeling, like, oh my gosh, why did you watch this movie? We had another colleague who went to the movie, who we found out with her friend. They both went, And they left within the first 15 minutes. She was just like, this is not, and she was older. This woman was older than us. She's maybe like 15, 20 years older than us. She was like in her 50s. And, she and her friend, they see movies often. So they were like, oh, let's just go see this movie, whatever. And then 15 minutes in, they were out. My friend told me, I can't believe I watched this movie. And I said, I think I want to write about it, but then I don't want to waste my breath. I don't want to waste my words on a movie that was just like not. And she said, Stephen, don't. It's not worth it. It's not worth your time. It's not worth your. And so for years, I resisted the urge to write about it. But just like when we love movies, things that we like, just like with things we love, we get excited to talk about. Shouldn't you do the same for things that you don't like? Isn't there room for that? That was what I was grappling with. And ultimately, I just said, well, you know what? Look, it's a nice change of pace from the energy around the videos that we have already on this channel. And the more I thought about it, I was like, well, yeah, I'm going to talk about this. I'm going to talk about this. Because I'm really curious out there. I don't know if anyone's going to have anything to say, but I'm curious if people have any thoughts about this movie. The video really is about that. That's the reason I'm making this video. I'm curious about other people's thoughts on this movie. Do you also not like it as much as I didn't? Or do you like it? And if you do, great. That's the beauty about art and stuff like movies and stuff. And because it's subjective, people have their own opinions about it. It doesn't make anybody right or wrong. Although if you like this movie, you are wrong. But no, I'm just kidding. But it's the fact that there are differing opinions on stuff. That's what makes it kind of cool. It's boring if everybody agrees on stuff, and if everybody likes the same thing. There are universally acclaimed movies that some people don't like, or some people think that it's overrated. And maybe you feel the same way about this movie, and maybe you don't. Either way, I think that's all I'm really going to say about this movie for now. I think I am going to write about it now that I've done this video. So, but let me know what you think. And if you've stuck around to listen to this rant, I appreciate your time. Other than that, I'm getting out of here because I want to cleanse my palate now, cleanse my mind, and think about other things that I actually like. And I'll probably get on here and talk about some other things that I don't like or have issues with too. So be ready for that. In the meantime, I'm out of here. Take it easy.